Week 6 is in the books with more playoff mysteries and questions alike, along with a new record breaker that we're going to be talking to just today. We also got new info on possibilities of hosts for playoff games. Yes, we might be playing playoff games in host cities, depending on how this all goes, plus your question of the week and much more. It's episode 58 of the USFL podcast, and it starts right now.
1, 2, 3.
Welcoming everybody into episode 58 of the USFL podcast. Zach Kyleman hosting this week's episode of the show, bringing you in as we've got plenty on our plate, on our buffet of USFL content for this edition of the show. Obviously, hosting today is myself. In the opposite chair is the imposter Panthers fan himself, the ref, who is not wearing his gear because he wants to torment my life. Good to see you, buddy. I'm glad that you want to keep on pretending you're this optimistic guy that you are, because we're along for a horrible ride. At least I can acknowledge.
You know, I don't know who this...
My team is trash.
I don't know who this ref guy that you're talking about is, because I'm the Panther, the number one Panthers fan.
He's so delusional.
You know, Zach,
he even forgot his alias.
I don't even know what's going on with our team anymore, buddy. I thought for sure we had it in the bag, but you know what? I am feeling a little all in this week. I don't know what to say about that, but I'm sure we'll have much to say about it later. I've been having a good week. I've been having a great week, and you know what? I might even be having the best week ever. It's so good.
Oh, I bet
my
you are.
Luck never ends unless it's the Panthers. I mean, Dad got it. I thought we had it.
He's got to cue it back in, because if he's not careful, he shows his real self. He's wolf in sheep's clothing. We'll chat. But this is the ref, though. You did not miss anything. Unless you missed last week's episode, then yes, he does have a new getup. He is the quote unquote number one Panthers fan in the USFL. We'll let that slide. But welcoming you into episode 58 of the show, all jabs aside from myself being the bitter Panthers fan I am on the opposite end of this, we're glad to have you on. Week 7 is coming up. Week 6 was insane for the fact that the playoffs somehow got even tighter than they already were. We're going to be touching on that in just a bit. Also got playoff information that really I think is an eyebrow raiser, because I think some of us were wondering about this, given that it's season 2 and we got some more hubs. We'll give you more details on that and an interview with Derrick Dillon coming up later in the show. Record breaker himself, that 109-yard missed field goal return, longest in USFL history.
Kick 6, if you will.
The kick 6.
Sign him up.
Got a lot of records breaking this year already from USFL past and present. It's another one to add in. He gets to take that one, and we'll talk about that later on in the show with him on a one-on-one with myself. However, got to get some stuff out of the way, because, we got some little check notes to take with, errands to get through, if you will. Social media. Hey, are you following us? Have you checked us out on our social media pages? What are you doing? Real simple. At USFL Podcast on your favorite social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or, of course, our Twitter account that we are very, very active on. We are pushing for that Facebook. We are climbing it on up. I can't wait till we pass that 1K amount of followers. We're almost there. So keep on following us over there, especially. We've been posting a lot there more lately. So stay tuned. But at USFL Podcast for your favorite socials. That also includes YouTube, by the way, which, hey, if you're listening onto the podcast channel, if you haven't heard, we got a video version. If you want to head on over, you get a few things with that. Not only do you get to subscribe to the channel and get about updates every week from episodes and interviews and clips we post on here, but if you click that bell, you also get that, and you build some morale while you're at it too. Not to mention, you get entered in to that 5K jersey giveaway. Once we hit 5,000 subs, we're going to be giving away a fully customized USFL jersey of your choice. You get what you want on it on our dime. You just got to help us get to that 5K sub count that we are aiming for, and we are going to hit without a doubt here. It's going to be a blast, and you're going to be part of the ride. Just got to subscribe as well. Also want to help out the show. Besides the subscriptions, we got a great deal with an official partner of the USFL in terms of merch, Breaking Tea. Get 10% off your purchase at breakingtea.com if you want your favorite USFL custom tees or graphic tees. By the way, there's a new one that is based on Alex Magoo that I like a lot. Kind of a play on words of giddy up that you want to check out. Brand new shirts every week they've been doing this year. It's one of my favorite things that the league's been doing this season with Breaking Tea. 10% off if you use the code USFL Newsroom at checkout if you do it through us. Again, at USFL Newsroom, that helps support the show and the website. Also, you get a freaking awesome deal on any of your merch. That includes any merch on the site besides USFL. They have a lot of retro, a lot of alternative leagues or main sports league items. If you want to buy, that code is worth it for any of that. Finally, summer stock is creeping up and it is coming around the corner. If you want to know more, keep to this channel. We are getting a lot of exciting details behind the scenes stuff I wish I could share on the show that I cannot right now, because one of them, man, one of the items, I had this gentleman here. As much as I am definitely calling him out for the uniform, he has got me giddy for other things in the USFL. But check us out, June 30th, July 1st. Remember, June 30th, we're going to be out there, going to be going to the Hall of Fame once again. We'll have our flag following us along, and most likely, which we'll give you more details when it comes out, that most likely will give you a discount to the USFL Championship, by the way. Championship is in Canton, Ohio, so come to us and meet us up at Canton, Ohio for that and for the championship game where, we'll have a live show just like last year. Should be a different location this year, less construction, and we know we're going to get a better location thanks to the league's help. So we'll be working on that, but it's going to be a much better spot. Great guest lineup is coming your way. Stick around. We'll have more details on that shortly. I think that's about it.
I think that's it. I mean, I'm looking forward to summer stock. So nice. We're doing it twice, 2 days, 2 months. Second event. I mean, can it get any better than this? I don't know. My favorite part of doing these things is meeting the people. I mean, this will be our third one this year. We did spring stock. We did the Motor City meetup. And now we beg and plead. Come and join us in Canton, Ohio at that championship game for summer stock, because I'm telling you, boys, you aren't going to want to miss it. And it is a tailgate. Good times, good guests, giveaways, and food. We're throwing an F in with the G's this time around. Come and get some food. We'll probably got some doggies on the grill, maybe a Faygo pop or two. Get signed up. Hey, do you have a specialty? Come bring a macaroni or potato salad. We ain't going to stop you. I might not eat it if it looks goofy.
I got some ideas. Last year we did just hot dogs, but I want to up the ante. And we're going to be in a better location this year too, so we'll definitely have some more foot traffic. I want some more stuff to mix up with that feast as well. And we'll have more buddies in the area too that we're meeting up with this year that'll help be collaborating with this. So definitely stop on by. Again, more details coming, but it should be a place that you'll be easily able to access before you go to the game. Last year was a bit congested, but the construction's cleared up, and we also have a better spot that we were told we were going to be getting. So stay tuned for that. Now, before we get to that, we can't talk playoffs just yet or any other playoff implication stuff, because Jim Mora would want us to talk about the USFL. Hey, remember Jim Mora, famous Philadelphia Stars head coach, multiple championship winning Stars head coach from the 80s. He would still say the same thing, one thing or another. Playoffs, you can't talk about the playoffs just yet. Well, it is getting closer, and the standings are getting much more Wild Westy as they go. I didn't expect it to tighten up again, but it tightened up again. And that's hard for me to say, because last week we were talking the same spiel, but yet here we are. For a recap, and for those trying to kind of bring back and jog your memory, here are the final scores from last week, starting from earliest to latest. Pittsburgh traveling over to Memphis with a home crowd over there, nice and plentiful. The Showboats shut out the Pittsburgh Maulers. I don't think many people saw a shutout of either kind coming. And I think for most regards, it was looking like an upset for the Showboats, which they pulled off. Also includes that kick 6 of 109 yards return from Derrick Dillon with the excellent moves as well. Pretty much an all-around beatdown and defensive effort from the Showboats came out to play. Complete shutout and turnover fest too. Troy Williams took a massive step back in this game. We'll discuss a little bit on this as we keep going. Second game on the docket, Stallions going to the Ford Field to play the Michigan Panthers. The fourth and final of a home stretch that has been a home stretch from hell has come to an end as the Panthers obviously took the loss in this one. I didn't have confidence. I know he's pretending he had confidence, but I didn't have confidence in this.
I don't know what happens, Zach.
I don't get it.
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk more as to what we did or didn't get. But the only thing, if anything you got to take away from this game, Alex Magoo. Is he an MVP favorite right now? We might have to be talking a bit more about that because the league sure is talking a lot more about his play-making ability. New Orleans and Philadelphia, penalty fest. That is the main thing you're going to take away from this. Is I think a lot of people just said, what the heck happened with all the penalties in this one? We'll dive in a bit more, but let's just say Philadelphia, over 140 yards penalties, and they still walk away with the win. McLeod Bethel-Thompson, as we were hearing in the broadcast, getting a little more frustrated with his play, but the Breakers might be underperforming a tad, and it is getting kind of concerning given the standings. And finally, Generals Gamblers. Yes, it was a defensive slugfest. I think a lot of people saw this. The Generals were going to keep it close, but Kyle Lauletta comes in, not too efficient. Gamblers come on in, do just enough to get away with the win. Obviously, of course, we have company of Mark Thompson still providing much of the payload as Kenji Bahar coming back from his 1 week off. Had a bit of rust, but also good defense to play against. That should continue to hopefully get better for him as the weeks go by. Quick thoughts before we dive into some more notes here. I'll just call you Stefan more because obviously you don't want to use your alias that is
the Panther.
The thing that people know you the most for, and you want to go with this.
Everybody knows the Panthers, Zach. I'm the number one Panthers fan, and I don't know what's happening to our team here, buddy. I don't know. I thought I put it all on the line last week. I said the Panthers are pulling this out. We're not going to lose 4 straight games in Ford Field. So you know what this means, Zach. It's official. Sure. I'm flying out there. I'm going to save the season for the Panthers.
Okay.
The number one Panthers fan, the Panther. My hat says it all. I'm flying out Detroit City, where I grew up, born and raised. And I'm going to help you get across the line. Now, we'll talk about next week because I have all sorts of thoughts on the upcoming week and how much the Panthers are going to dominate their opponents. But before we get to the Panthers Stallions game, and before we get to the Gamblers game, because a shocker, everyone, all in, Gamblers win. It's almost like somebody told everyone that the Gamblers were going to sweep the rest of the season. Well, guess what, folks? I wasn't joking.
It took them 2 losses before that started to happen.
Preseason,
yes.
And we had to get everyone's hopes up. So before we get into all of that, because I have much more to say, Maulers, Showboats. I don't know what to think anymore, right? So, Maulers, I thought they were on the come up. I thought they were finally getting their pieces together, ready to rock and roll. I still, in the back of my mind, looked at the Showboats wins and said, well, sometimes these things happen in sports. But boy, oh boy, I don't know what to think. Are the Showboats on the up and up? Are the Maulers a 50-50 team where you don't know which Maulers team you're going to play on any given week? I don't know. But I do know this, Zach. This is the second time there's been a shutout in the USFL since the league has reformed. And unfortunately, the Maulers are on the losing side of that battle again. 2-time shutout. And I mean, that can't feel good as a team that's trying to come in here as a rebound season. You have glimpses of hope, glimpses of greatness, glimpses of, boy, wow, this is not the same Maulers team at all. And then glimpses of getting shut out by the Showboats, who started out the season 0-3, and at the time arguably looked like they were going to be the Maulers of season 2.
Yeah, it really did. And I this game broke me a little because I did think that this was the one that would definitively say Pittsburgh is taking a stranglehold further on the division. I thought Memphis did a great job the previous 2 weeks. I just thought that defensively Pittsburgh was going to be able to slow down Memphis. And you know what they did? You look at the stat sheet, and if you go on the USFL's website, you look at the stats and the box score. Yeah, you probably would take that first glance that they did their job. 223 total yards. Generally, that should win you a football game. That generally should get you to walk out of there. But here's the thing, man. You can't have turnovers and missed opportunities plague you the way they did. Troy Williams took definitely a step backwards. I thought that the Showboats did an excellent job getting pressure on him all day. And then later on in the game, shifting out for James Morgan. As we've talked, Morgan's a statue. He is not a Troy Williams. He is not mobile. That Maulers' offensive line is not good enough to have a statuesque quarterback in the backfield. So that only amounted to doubling up what was the damage that Memphis could take on going after the QB and getting pressure to force bad turnovers and mistakes. 3 interceptions on the day from Pittsburgh. That's not going to win you any football games. Troy is still your best bet, even if it's a rough day. You got to put him in there. Something else, too. I mean, I don't think anyone saw that kick 6 happening. But man, that's one of the things is if you don't have that go out of bounds and you don't have a field goal team that is susceptible or used to doing that type of coverage, you could get burned. And credit, Dillon did have to do a nice spin move to break out of a tackle to then bust that play. But that just essentially put everything out of reach. Memphis was in a zone defensively. That is, I think, what has been their best side of the ball that they have gotten each week progressively better at, is pressuring the quarterback, causing havoc in the secondary, and just being able to say, hey, we'll then take it back and control the clock. The Showboats, you look at, again, I talk stat sheet, it doesn't always mean everything, but 34 minutes time of possession. They dominated the possession battle and playing keep away, giving it in their side of the field. And honestly, it was a tough offensive day for them because they're playing the best defense in the league, but they did what they needed to do. Vinny Papali, 30-plus yard TD reception. Had to muscle his way in for that touchdown. That's good. Getting some field goals knocked in. 22-0, that's nothing to slouch out. That's a big game. I think it puts Memphis back on the map and puts them still right in the thick of things of that playoff matchup, thanks to, another one we'll talk about with New Orleans continuing to slip up.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy, mad world, the spring football world that we live in. I mean, we're just here experiencing it each week. Each week, any of these teams can be any of these teams, right? This is super ultra competitive, as we've seen. It seems like one week we've thought we've had the best team, the other teams it's the worst team. And, we talked about this going into this. The Showboats went into this season 0-3, and now they've won the last 3. Which one are they? Is it a fluke? Are they generally on the rebound? I mean, I could go either way. Zach.
I'm thinking it's a rebound, though. I mean, like I said, it's the defensive side of the ball has really come to play. And I think I see flashes more and more of Cole Kelly being the best for this offense. Something we'll talk about that I asked about from Derrick Dillon in our interview coming up is he does see Kelly as a true leader in this team. You can see it during game days. He commands the offense. He's very much a vocal guy. And that's something I think the Showboats really need, is an emotional and vocal guy like that. And it's been working dividends, between him. Todd Haley has been having spirits brightened. It's a good vibe right now. They got to be feeling really good. And you love to see it this week in practice. They were posting up in the stadium, the standings, Todd just saying like, hey, we were down and out. Now we're back. We're right there, right in the thick of it. We just have to keep grinding. It is grind city after all over there in Memphis. So keep grinding. The sky's the limit. All you need to do is get into the top 2.
For sure, 100%. And I mean, as we've seen with the North, the South is just as competitive. Here we have a mix, though. Game 2, afternoon game, Ford Field. Again, Zach, I don't know what happened to our team this week. I really thought we had it in the bag. Birmingham Stallions, I mean, they came out 27-13. Wasn't very, it was a pretty convincing win there. I have a couple notes, but the one I'm just going to start out here right away, right here, and say it right now. I don't care what you think you heard the coach say. You spiked the ball going into the half.
Thank you.
What is going on here?
Thank you.
What is going on here?
I'm glad that even with you being the peppy self you are with all this, that you do have the logic to say, why are you not spiking the ball at the end of the half? You know what? I don't even care if it is a communication error. Here's the thing. Here is the thing about that play in particular. Yes, you do want to listen to your offensive coordinator and your coaching staff if they give you something. You do have the liberty to ignore that if you think it's bad advice. I'm not saying it's a good idea all the time, but if you can't hear them and you know what should be the right call there, that's a QB issue too. That should be something that you say, screw it, I'm spiking the ball, because that's the safe option. That way it's 4th down. You can kick the field goal. You see Cole Murphy. Murphy was ticked off that he didn't get a chance to kick 3 points. And that would have changed, I think, some of the dynamics of the game. You see in the second half, they're only down 3. They get a touchdown. They're within 3. Imagine if that game's tied. The energy comes fully back into Ford Field. You have the energy of the crowd on your side that next possession to then slow things down for Birmingham. And it just wasn't there. It's a complete lack of execution, and it's been plaguing them ever since they've gotten back to Detroit. It has been constantly this level of mediocrity with trying to pull things off. Right now, Michigan is, and I do stress this, they are right now the worst team in the league, in my eyes.
I wouldn't go that far, Zachy boy.
I think they are, because the execution on the offensive side completely takes away from things. Even if you want to talk about how bad Pittsburgh was this week, I don't think they're even the worst, because their defense is better than Michigan's, and it can essentially make up for whatever offensive lackluster nature that they have. Michigan, on the other hand, they can have great defensive days. Breland Speaks can go out there and get a sack. Frank Ginda can go and roam the field for 18 tackles if he wants and just be this absolute monster. And it won't matter, because the offense continues to bungle or fumble the bag in some part or some way. That instance, again, more turnovers and miscues. I think Josh Love, to me, holds the ball too long in the pocket, which is causing a lot of problems.
Yeah, he needs to get out.
He doesn't throw it away. Yep. Either he tries to throw downfield or he tries to make magic happen. Here's the deal. You got to throw it away sometimes. It is how it is. And credit, the line hasn't been the best. But there are opportunities where I watched this game in particular. I was like, all right, let's triple check that it is not just the line, that it is QB play and maybe some play calling issues. It's a mix of a lot. But you got to get the ball out of there. You got to throw it away. You can't always play hero ball, and I know that's why I know and why others are talking about anything should be on the table, especially on the offense. Defensively, they're holding them in games. They're doing the best they can. Birmingham has an amazing quarterback in Alex Magoo that now that he's fully healthy, he's showing what he could have been doing last year, and he's currently the MVP frontrunner. He reasserted that this week. 3 touchdowns, 2 passing, 1 on the ground. He is the offense right now for the most part for the Stallions. They are getting a better run game this past week, but he is their offense right now.
100%.
He's been the complete and focal center of that side of the ball.
Which shows, the foresight and why Coach Holtz is the caliber coach that he is, right? He was able, because, it's easy to forget. And there are a lot of fans that came into the USFL Season 2 that didn't watch Season 1. There's a few that I talked to. And so it is easy to forget that Alex Magoo was the starting quarterback for the Stallions to start out the season. And it wasn't until his injury that Jamar Smith came in and then, really made a name for himself out there, led the team to a championship, which we also saw Magoo in as well, right? I think people forget that too, right? We saw both these guys early in the season, late in the season. They pulled in that championship as a team. And so I know there was a lot of worried fans. Big mad, big sad Stallion fans. We're getting big mad, big sad for those losses. But they're showing they have the talent to rebound. Maybe they just a few little adjustments, because you know what? Some of those injuries, they came into the season. A lot of those injuries they got early on. They had to figure out how to move some things around, get people where they need to go, move them into different positions, get everything right, trained up, and good to go. And like you said, Zach, he's looking MVP caliber. The team is executing. They got that rebound win that they need here. And the South is open game, open season. So I don't know who's going to join the Gamblers with them, but it very well could be the Stallions.
It really could be anyone. I do think I'm with you on that. Much like others, I've put Houston as the best team this week in the community rankings, because they simply are playing in all phases. They are playing the best currently right now. I think
forever.
I mean, right now, it's hard to argue they're not. And I mean, you look at, of course, the third game on the docket, and just what I have found is very boggling reversal is New Orleans is just continual backslide on the offensive side of the ball. And I don't fully know what it is to fix. Best hint at this was that, the broadcast crew interviewed McLeod Bethel-Thompson that week, and he said it was on him fully. He claims it's his fault. And I don't know if it's fully that, but I will admit he's making a lot more mistakes that he usually wasn't in recent weeks. I mean, shoot, if we want to just talk box score in general, that pick six is the main difference maker in this contest. That's it. Philadelphia didn't score a single touchdown again. They haven't scored an offensive touchdown in this 2-game stretch of wins. They've been field goals and defensive TDs. That's all it is. And credit, Philadelphia's offense has found some strides. They can't finish a drive, though. So right now, you look at that and you go, okay, how did New Orleans not pull this off? Simple thing. They're not getting – it doesn't seem like McLeod Bethel-Thompson has as good protection as he was. It also doesn't seem like that he's on the same page as his receivers in recent weeks as he used to be. And it's gotten a little more careless with the ball. These aspects – are not winning football for John DeFilippo. We know that this is an explosive offense. They still lead in 3 main statistical offensive categories. Crazy. It's been 2 straight losses of pathetic offensive production, and they still lead in passing yards, rushing offense, which Wes Hill still has been producing throughout both these games, by the way. And they still have, I believe it's the leading receiver in reception yards. They have the talent. It just seems like either defenses have started figuring out some items, or we're getting into some mental blocks, because now it's 2 straight losses. You've basically gone from feeling like you have a stranglehold on the South to now it's, again, everybody's ball game. Houston's all of a sudden come up, and they're right there and at the driver's seat with you. Birmingham, who you got a really good win off of earlier in the year. Hey, you got to play them this week, and they've been playing some pretty good ball, and they get to play you. You need to knock that out of your head and get going.
Right. I mean, if you would have asked me, and we may have talked about this a little bit on the show last week, but if you would have asked me who would be leading the North in week 7 last week, I think the Stars would have been the bottom of that list. I think they would have been the absolute bottom of the list on who would be leading the North. But here we are now, week 7, and they're leading the pack. But I mean, one game.
Very much.
But hey,
I mean, I don't feel confident in them leading because I don't trust the North right now as a division. But again, what have they done well? Hey, ever since they got their asses handed to them by Houston, and that's not putting it light. That's putting it lightly. Actually, I could go way worse. They got completely force fed
all in
everything by Houston a few weeks ago on the defensive end, effort wise, and in terms of just production. And they've came back out. They've sustained, and they've gotten 2 wins thanks to solid defense and good special teams. Yes, Luis Aguilar did miss a kick this week, but he still was the driving force as to how this team was getting points, along with an Amani Dennis pick 6 that really, I mean, with that continual good defensive effort, getting pressure, Corey Brown and Dennis and company out in the secondary that have been locking things down. Brown might be ticked off at him not getting a pick at the end of that game, but he was locked in all game, trash talking or not, as you'll hear on the Mic'd Up segment. And he's been helping lead things and lead the charge. That's what's been winning Philadelphia right now, is they're getting offensive production. Now, penalty wise and things like that for both these teams, those are scary trends. Whether you want to blame the refs or not, Philadelphia, they're lucky to get this win on the fact that 144 penalty yards.
I mean, that's rough, dude. That's rough. And they came out on the winning side. I mean, that's a great, that's something to point out, though. Anytime any of these fans want to say the refs can control the outcome of the game, the Stars just proved you wrong. Because, I mean, that's a lot, buddy.
If I am New Orleans, I didn't commit as many penalties, but the most crucial penalties were committed during the fourth quarter, because they did have a few drives that were killed thanks to just some miscues and missed opportunities that were let go from penalties. Hell, the offensive touchdown in question, actually, that Philadelphia almost had, was taken away by a holding penalty. And I love the mic'd up segments the league brings up, because the one they bring up is Case Cook. He's running into the end zone as he is sliding in. He's about to celebrate, but he doesn't. He basically does like a half celebration and turns into an NPC on a video game and goes, dude, just don't hold.
Yeah.
he's like losing his mind because he knows they haven't gotten anything to the end zone in 2 weeks. They're lucky they're getting wins. They're glad they have a good defensive efforts on their side, but that only carries you so far. But maybe it does carry you enough because, again, it's the North.
Oh, yeah.
The North is kind of looking ugly right now, one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have a lot to say on the last game of the week here with New Jersey and Houston. First thing, as I mentioned in the lead-in, Gamblers are the best team in the league right now.
Damn right, all in.
And I will gladly keep apologizing and eating crow for just the beginning of the season I had questions. Curtis Johnson and company, Coach Wilson, they've done a great job in the short time frame of turning this thing around. That is an impressive effort through 6 weeks. Still some work to go. It is a tight division, but boy, have they put themselves in the right spot to go in for the final stretch. On the other side of things, Mike Riley, I got to sit you down. If I had a little room to do a one-on-one interview, I have to sit you down, bud, because the defensively, New Jersey is doing all they can to keep teams in games. I don't know what you're doing on offense right now. I don't know what identity you want. I know that Mike Riley kind of comes off as this guy that is more about development first, game second, is how I've started seeing him. Especially this year and part of last year. And this really showed. They started Kyle Lauletta. Okay, benefit of the doubt. Maybe DeAndre Johnson can't fully go, although the implications were that he would have been fine, and that last week it was more about turf getting into his face mask and into his eyes. And he's sitting there on the sideline waiting to go in. 3.5 quarters go by. Kyle Lauletta and company. Inefficient offense is all God. It actually reminded me of Kyle Lauletta on the Pittsburgh Maulers last year, which was just making me grind my teeth watching that game. They get a TD drive. Oh, goody. And then they can't convert the 4th and 12. And I'm sitting there this whole time thinking, man, DeAndre could have come in handy here with like a lot of these plays because, that RPO offense they run with him, you still can throw out of that. He's more explosive as a runner. If he's healthy, like put him in. This is where I keep questioning Mike. If you are doing this more for development, I'm with you there. I get it. This league it's about guys going to the next level, but this is also professional football. You want to win. And I don't think, to me think putting Kyle Lauletta in was kneecapping the potential for the Generals to get a win against the Gamblers. That is my God honest opinion. And it has been maddening to watch Mike Riley make QB decisions through this season because it's more about letting these guys have reps. Because you could tell, like Kyle going in last week, you knew as soon as he said it at the press conference that he was like, well, I've been wanting to get Kyle in. It was over.
Yep.
Game over. Kyle's playing next week. DeAndre Johnson has to be the most abused quarterback in this league when it comes to any inch of him having to step on the sideline. Oh, sweet. I get to play someone else. Coach, what are you doing?
So I'll say this. I think you need to be a little easier on Coach Riley. And here's
But this is twice now this season I've had to do this rant.
Well, maybe the first time was valid. Here's why it's not valid this time around. He was playing the Gamblers. There was no chance he was going to win anyway. All in. Gamblers are sweeping the rest of the season. And so, you know what? This is the time to experiment when you're playing the best team in the league. You said it, Zach.
Sure.
Best team in the league. All in, baby. Remember I said this 3 weeks ago. Here's a phrase everybody needs to get used to. Gamblers win, all in. Sign me up. Man, boy, oh boy.
I was sitting here ready for you to give me you know what, Zach? Don't be mad at him. Here's the strategy behind it. No, it's because it's clearly because they want to practice. All right, fine. You know what? We'll go with this. You're the optimist fan. Clearly, you're still playing that card with the Panthers guys. So,
well, here's the thing. The best thing that ever happened to the Gamblers was for me to start rooting for the Panthers. And as everybody knows, I'm the number one Panthers fan, the Panther. And I'm here to say I'm feeling good. I still don't get why the Panthers didn't win last week, but I'm all in on those Gamblers, baby. And I'm hoping and praying that somehow our Panthers can get their act together so they can face the Gamblers in the championship. So I really have a problem on my hand because, Zach, I don't know what I do then, right? What do I do then if the Gamblers and the Panthers are in the championship. I mean, logic says I go all in. I go all hard, heavy for the gamblers.
Logic says you'll drop the bit and go and bail for the gambler's side because you've been waiting for this whole time.
But then they'll lose.
But the curse says that you'll stay with this bit and you'll keep doing this bit until the Panthers lose.
We'll have to see. Every day is a new day. The world is our oyster, Zach. And all I know is the gamblers are sweeping the rest of the season all in. Boy, this feels... It's been a while since I've been a fan of a winning team, Zach. And maybe one day the Panthers will get the Panthers will get there. We can win out this season. We will win out this season.
Look at him. He's trying to. He revolves it back. He finds a point where he's about to go over the cliff and he grabs at the edge, the rail
it's
on
you
the
and me,
stairs.
Zach.
And says, "No, wait, I can't do it yet.
We're in this together.
The curse isn't over. I have to keep riding.
We're in this together. The Panthers, live or die. Let's hunt." Scratching away at our competition, you know?
Okay. Anyway, I got some questions from last week before we dive in and let you guys listen to our conversation with Derrick Dillon. Well, I actually do want to ask first, by the way, reactions to that in particular, because again, I can reiterate, holy cow, definitely was insane to end a half and absolutely the perfect social media moment for the league, without question.
Oh, sure.
You know, the not only the play itself, Jack Collinsworth did what I expect any good announcer to do. He got me hyped up for the play even more than I already was watching it. Not many people are doing it that good, but he's taken that. He is one of the better ones in terms of play-by-play. He's one of the best play-by-plays in the league, and he turned that play into something even more memorable than it already was. His call is fantastic. Cameron Jordan, he just can't believe what he's seeing, and he's been that whole game. He's just talking defense. But I'm telling you, man, I was thrilled watching that. I love it when you get a highlight reel moment like that, and good moment for the league. After all, we're going to see that all this end of season for the highlights for the end of the year.
Oh, 100%.
It's going to be in there.
Well, it's funny. We were talking about special teams player of the year last week, right? And I don't know if this counts, but it feels like it should, right? Like, does this count as a special teams play, right?
Put it in the moment,
right?
You know?
So now I don't know.
Put it in.
Now we do have a contender for special teams player of the year if this is in the mix, because now we have 2 records. And I mean, how cool is that, Zach? Back to back, we have record breakers on the show. Sign us up. I'm feeling pretty good. Season 2 gets better and better.
2 weeks in a row, we're going to have that.
Someone else needs to break a new record so we can have you guys on next week. That's the challenge, players. Any player listening, break a record. We'll have you on.
I'll continue that trend gladly because it's always fun to talk about great performances and great individual efforts, even though it is a team sport, which a lot of these guys they'll bring back to the team and their supporting staff. That's what's great about this league. You got to praise the great efforts that they get to have here, and you'll get to hear that from Derrick here in just a second. Talk about other great individual efforts. Again, I think I want to reiterate the MVP race. It's changed again, and I think a lot of it comes down to what's going on with McLeod Bethel-Thompson, and part of it goes to Alex Magoo every week basically saying, and credit, CJ Marable did have 100 yards rushing, so I do have to reiterate, run game was great during this contest, but this is again leaning on, Alex Magoo going, all right, let me just strap on that backpack, and here we go, guys. Let's carry this one. That's what he's been doing.
Oh, yeah.
At least on the offensive side of the ball, it's mostly what he's been doing through 6 weeks of the year. And I think that put another stamp on, okay, maybe I need to consider who the real MVP is in terms of a guy that if you take him away, what is the Birmingham Stallions offense without Alex Magoo after that point?
Right.
It's kind of hard to imagine it because I don't see that going anywhere without him being there.
100%. Yeah, I know. When you compare across the league, is there a guy that can make as big of an impact on any of the other teams? And sure, yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys, if they leave, it's going to make an impact. Will it be as big as what we see in Birmingham? I don't know, Zach. I think you might be onto something here. I mean, Magoo, we talked about it earlier, right? It's easy to forget that he was the starting quarterback last year. Sans an injury, he probably would have followed through that season. And quite honestly, probably would have had the same result as a championship. And now this is the year he gets to prove himself. And so, I mean, I would love to see it. Now, would I love to see the Gamblers, or even more so, my favorite team, the Panthers, get that pick? Sure. Do I see it in the cards right now? Not as much as Magoo. Not yet, at least.
Yeah.
So,
no, not right now. I think that you still have options. You know, Mark Thompson's going to be up there right now. I think he's good. I think his stock keeps rising. If we're talking like Heisman poll voting or MVP voting, you know, his stock's on the rise. Magoo's is very much, I think, in pole position as of this past week. McLeod-Bethel-Thompson's still very much up there, but got to see a good performance.
Yep.
Honestly, I think whoever wins this next battle in terms of like QB, not only QB play, but whoever comes out on top, I think that might be who you kind of go, all right, this is my leader for like definitively, because MBT hasn't been himself for 2 weeks. Would be a great time for him to come back. You know, they did win 45-31, a lot on the backs of him and Wes Hills, who's in this conversation. Would be a great time for either one of those to show up next week, or Alex Magoo to say, you know what, I'm going to take this even further than I did earlier in the year in week 3 and just continue driving that point home. So that's what's at stake coming up this week, which we'll talk about here. Otherwise, I think my other thing I wanted to bring up, and I guess we'll just further this on, division discussion. I said it. I've said it multiple times in this lead-in. I don't know how you get tighter, but we got tighter.
Yeah.
You know, both divisions are a game to half a game difference depending on who is behind who. It's a lot of tiebreakers right now. Sans all the 4-2 teams at the top of the South, and the Philadelphia Stars making a surprise 3-3 candidacy right now at this point in the year. It's almost like Bart Andrus drew it up to do it a second straight season like that. But here we are. You know, I think which one's the greater question to answer, Stefan? Who wins the South, or who gets both positions in the North? Because I can't really predict either, but you are basically picking between what I consider. Yes, I see your face.
Well, because we know who's going to win the South, Zach. It's easy. The Gamblers, all in, sweeping the rest of the season. 8-2.
I'm talking both spots though, man. That's what I'm saying. Who's your second?
Because I can't give you
a definitive pick.
We're that good. We're going to get both spots.
Okay. Okay. We'll ignore the South. How do you pick the North?
Well,
because
that's hard.
Been consistently, it's consistently disappointments every week.
No, the North,
like there's like silver linings once in a while, and then it just disappears.
You could roll dice and probably have a better chance guessing the North. I'm telling you, it's anybody's team. Like we said earlier, if I was going into this week, last week, if you would have asked me who would be leading, the Stars would be the last on my list. But here we are, right? That's all it takes. That one win might be the reason that they're in the playoffs. That one win. Because in any of these games, any team could win and any team can lose, clearly. Because none of these teams seem to be able to find their rhythm. Like, it seemed like the Panthers were that team. They came into the season. They won the first 2 games. And for whatever reason, ever since I went to Ford Field, they haven't been able to get another win. I don't get it. So, and now they're at the bottom of the pack. I don't understand this. I still have hopes that they can do it, because the reality is anybody can win it. Anybody, any of these 2 teams, Zach, I wouldn't be shocked if they're in the playoffs, just the way it's going. 3-3, and the rest of the teams are 2-4, Zach.
I think if you're anyone that's not Philadelphia, you take the same post game kind of rally cry that you have from Andrews and say, we're 0-0. Yep. Let's reset. It's anyone's game, because clearly that's the only thing that's been working right now, is them going, we're lucky to be here. Like, out of the other teams this year, I think if you were Pittsburgh or if you were New Jersey, you're going, you know what, I'm feeling pretty good right now. If you're Michigan, you're like, you know what, we've had like 2 weeks ago, we had some slip ups. We're 2-3 still. We're right here. Not a big deal. If you're Philadelphia last week, I would have been going, dear God, we're lucky we're right there, man. Yeah. Jesus. And then now this week, you're like, excuse me, how are we sitting here? Well, guys, guys, what happened? Like that's what I'm envisioning right now. You're Philadelphia and you're going, great defense, but seriously, dude, guys, how are you not at least tied up with us right now? One of you,
right? Yeah.
At this point,
I mean, it's pretty bleak looking up north. I don't quite understand it. I'm still feeling Maulers Panthers in the playoffs. Interestingly enough, they're at the bottom 2 of the list right now. So if everything stood the way it is, it's Stars Generals. But I mean, 3-3 and everybody else is 2-4. We will see. We will see how this goes. I have a feeling this is going to come down to week 10 though, which good news, Zachy boy. I'm going to be there in Ford Field. So we win. It'll be good.
I know you will be there. And we'll probably have a dogfight if we're even still in contention at that point, because they'll be trying to sweep Philadelphia. I got right now. See, this is what's hard for me. I still have faith in Pittsburgh. Like I do believe they caught a hot hand and they made a poor decision swapping out Troy Williams in the second half. Just keep Troy in. You saw James Morgan's not an improvement right now. We now know he's not fit for that line in terms of that line's abilities to protect him. So go back to Troy next week, throw the tape away. I still have them making it. But this is where I draw the line. And I know you're the optimist, quote unquote optimist. I don't have the Panthers making it right now. I actually have them sitting last. They do not show any competence right now for me to give optimism. And their run game continues to be backsliding this year. Part of that is on O-line play. So they've been leaning on passing production. But again, eventually Josh Love holds onto it too long. Things get forced. The issue gets forced, or a bad drop happens, or some miscommunication. That's what's all on there. A lot of it's production in terms of processes that are needed to run a competent offense. That's a problem. Pittsburgh, I think they can fix their issues. Philadelphia, New Jersey, that's where I'm hung up. Which one gets its act in order? Does New Jersey pick a quarterback and just stick with the QB and go with the most explosive, which I think should be Johnson? Just stick with Johnson, stop playing around. Or does Philadelphia finally score some TDs and show me a little more, I would say, promise on the offensive side of the ball? Because Case Cook is still threw 2 picks last week. They gave up 144 penalty yards. They're 3-3, but I ain't giving them an automatic bid in terms of confidence, even with the North being the way it is. I still have faith Pittsburgh has all the tools. They ran into basically a Showboats train that was on the up and up and hit them with a hammer. No pun, actually complete pun mentioned, of course, but that's what it comes down to. If New Jersey picks the right quarterback, I got New Jersey still. Honestly, if they put DeAndre Johnson in, I'm picking New Jersey. But they want to keep playing around with the QB position, and I'm just going to keep sitting here going, fine, guys, we'll keep doing this song and dance, but you're doing the wrong thing. This is professional football. I still think you play to win the game first. As much as I know guys and coaches want to give these guys tape, I get it. Play to win the game, though. Sure. Pick the right guy to play. You're going to get to your playoff spot. That's all I'm telling you. Mike Riley. Yep. So your ball's in your court, man. That's all I'm telling you.
It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. It's happening fast and furious, though. We're already at week 7. So with these answers, you would assume they become more clear as we get closer. But I don't know, Zach. There's just something about it that I feel like a lot of this is going to come down to week 10 because, we talked a lot about the North. Looking down south, 4-2 down the board, except for the Showboats at 3-3. So kind of a reverse of the North, interestingly enough. Breakers number 1, Gamblers number 2 for, now. But the Gamblers will be number 1. They're gonna win the whole South Division. Who goes in the South? It's easy to discount the Showboats, right? Because they start at 0-3.
Right. But here's the thing, given how they're playing and if this scenario plays out, say you got someone's got to win that Stallions Breakers game. If for some reason Houston loses to Memphis,
won't happen.
It just continues to get looking so weird because then you have a 3-way tie for the second position, and whoever comes out from Birmingham, New Orleans would then be sitting pretty at the top again.
Right. I know.
Or
everything's wild.
That's the chaos. That's the more chaotic version. The somewhat simpler version is you have Gamblers win, and then one of the two teams, of course, comes out on top in the first game of the weekend, and then you have 2 4-5-2 teams sitting pretty, and then you got to still fight in the bottom. But Memphis can totally mess this thing up in terms of like how this is looking as a division map. But I mean, if it happens, if it does happen, not saying it will, I'm all in on it.
Yes. All in, baby. All in. See, we're about to switch positions
because
here.
you know what? That's a casino boat that I'm on at that point.
There we go. Well, I guess I'll take it. But either way, I'm looking forward to it. We're so close to the playoffs, so close to the championship, which means we're getting closer to summer stock, which means we get to hang out with y'all. And that gets me excited, gets me happy, gets me hyped.
Gets us jazzed.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it does.
Oh, yeah.
Gets us jazzed. And speaking of getting jazzed, it's time for our player interview this week, as we've already hinted. Last week got a record breaker himself, Luis Aguilar. This week we had the pleasure to sit down with another record breaker in the USFL record books, which is Derrick Dillon, getting the kick 6 and also getting plenty of social media buzz. I sat down with him this week to talk about that, talk about being on his second year in the USFL, and just kind of the vibes in general, getting out in the community and being part of the Memphis Showboats. Take a listen right now. Welcome, everyone, into the latest edition of the USFL podcast interview series, bringing you the latest interviews and discussions from players, coaches, and personalities from around the United States Football League. Today, we're bringing in, last week we had a record-setting kicker, Luis Aguilar, a special teams. It's been kind of the jive lately on this show, and it just so happens we're going to bring in another record holder for the USFL, one that I would say brought a lot of social media buzz and attention just from the return itself, and also a pretty good receiver while he's at it too. He's not just a kick returner or punt returner. It's Derrick Dillon, Memphis Showboats receiver and return man himself, the specialist, as we saw last week. Derrick, how you doing? Like I said, and you obviously know, got a lot of press attention on you these days. How's it been post-win this week?
It's been crazy, man. Social media been blowing up, phone been blowing up, text message calls from everybody, man. It's just been crazy.
Well, it's not every day that we see a 109-yard punt or really missed field goal return. That's what's more unique about it, is that, you know, it's one you have to make sure you get in, and you're right on the thin line of that bad boy. First off, I got to ask, have you seen the replay of the broadcast of your return? Because, I mean, not only do you have it where you're really on the razor edge of getting that to actually become a TD, but Jack Collinsworth's commentary and call on that is one of the best I have heard all season from any of our broadcasters on these games. And I mean, that's saying something, because his call, it got me hyped up watching that.
I don't think I saw his. You know, I just been seeing the clip that this has been posted, and I watched it a couple of times. Then I watched it the non-TV copy, but I don't think I heard his yet.
Oh, you have to check.
I'm gonna have to look it up and find it.
Yeah, you have to check it out, because as I say, just you'll just have to check it out on the social. But I mean, he had a great call on it, got me pumped up for it. I mean, obviously you're jazzed on the sidelines for it all. I mean, was there ever a moment during the run you're like, okay, I know I'm breaking this? Because, I mean, you kind of get about the 30, 40-yard line. You do have to kind of spin out of a tackle, but you still, there's a little bit of traffic. I mean, it's not a normal punt return. It's more of like a kick return setup, and you're it's madness at that point. But was there ever a moment you're like, I know I'm gone?
Oh, yeah. When I spent out of it and I started cutting across field and I seen the angles that the lineman was taking, I just knew they didn't have a chance, because I knew once I got to the next lineman, I was going to cut it up. And when I cut it up the field, I seen when my teammate, Derek Abrams, I already had the kicker walled off, and he just waving to me, come on, come on, come on. And when I saw that, I just knew I was going to score.
It was a big one, too. Basically, no one can predict the halves, but I mean, talk about the flow of the game. Defense on the opposite side shut things down, and that really locked things up for yourself. But I will say, on your side of the ball, I would say last 3 weeks has been pretty nice. Massive turnaround for Memphis. Definitely night and day compared to the beginning of the year. I think a lot of people, not to bring back the sting, but I think a lot of people have forgotten that loss in Birmingham as well, because it's the second one game in the South now. How do you attribute? What do you attribute for yourself the turnaround right now? Like, what are you seeing team-wise that's just, it seems like week 4, after that close loss to Memphis, everything just flipped the switch.
Well, it's just now lately, this coach been on us about the details, because when we go back and watch the film, it's small little details that's keeping us from keeping drives going or scoring touchdowns or, just keeping the offense or keeping the offense for keeping the ball, like, on defense aspect. So, we just been dialed in on the details and just keeping everything clean, and it's just how we turn everything around. Like no penalties, no turnovers, and everything.
That's very vital, and I meant, and for clarification, that was against Houston from week 3. Nonetheless, though, I mean, certainly it has been the details. You guys have cleaned up. It seems you guys have cleaned up a lot. One of more less turnovers, which has been in the stats.
Mm-hmm.
Penalties have been down. That's obviously going to make Coach Haley happy, much more so than in the beginning of the seasons. I think something else that, we attribute, and this is no slight at any quarterback on your roster, but Cole Kelly has seemed to come in for you guys, and you're looking for signal callers to have thrown towards you. He seems to have taken a really big lead in terms of locking down your huddle. What kind of presence is Cole bringing to your huddle now? It looks like he really is taking kind of this command of sorts of your offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, exactly what you say. He just come in, just taking command, making sure everybody knows what's going on, and then he just make the right decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all we can ask for.
That's all. Hey, but it's working. That's all you got.
Exactly. As long as it's working, that's all we ask for. As long as it's working.
I talk about the fact, you're one of the returning players for this roster, which is kind of weird given that Memphis is new, but you are, the roster still is the same from last season, when you were under the Tampa Bay Bandits banner, of course, for the league itself. You get to now play in a home city or home hub in Memphis, your own crowd, your own people that are behind you. First win, by the way, at home last week. So that's also sweet. I've been there for a hub game and for a Houston game, but for yourself, how's the atmosphere for the Memphis crowd? I mean, it looks like I love seeing the people with kind of the boat captain look or like the yacht club. They really seem to be buying in to you guys coming to town and kind of bringing that energy back for the Liberty Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing compared to last year. Everybody was in Birmingham, and only time we have fans at the game is when we play in Birmingham, and they're not cheering for us. So we come to Memphis, and they loved us from day one. So it's amazing going out to play for them and seeing all the people with the hats, the signs, the face paint, the jerseys. It's just amazing to show how much support they have, and I'm glad they're coming to the game, and I hope they just keep coming for the rest of the season because it gives us energy because like we feed off of them and we feed off each other also. So right. I'm excited about it.
Right. I mean, shoot, I'll definitely be ending this interview talking about your massive call to revenge game if you want against the Gamblers coming up this week, and one that's not for revenge. But I mean, again, it's so strange, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, that the season feels so compact with all the teams. I mean, if you've maybe noticed, as I have, everyone in this league is within a game or half a game now. Like, completely different vibe than even what maybe some were from last year, where you felt like it was kind of top heavy for each division. In your state. Obviously, you guys were still fighting until well into the season last year with Tampa Bay, but I mean, have you noticed the competitive level just kind of higher up this year amongst all the teams?
I definitely realized, because like all of us is just like a couple wins or just a couple touchdowns away from winning or losing against each other. So the competition level is definitely risen, and guys are competing hard. So it makes this league more exciting to see how close the talent level is, and each and every game is like one touchdown away or two touchdowns away. So it's just a salute to the league and the competition level. I love it, me.
Right. Well, hey, and it keeps you guys right in the postseason march as well. Even 3-4-2 teams above you, 1-3-3 being yourself, but that just doesn't mean any records don't really mean anything at this point. It's all about wins. I want to touch back on the community, Derrick. I mean, you yourself and others, it seems, a lot have been going out into the Memphis community and kind of trying to just, I would say, give back in a way, it's really been shown that, not only the USFL, but as the Showboats, you're there, you're part of part of the community engagement. Kind of, can you give us, for those maybe that haven't been following, what have you and your teammates been doing in particular that you're proud of being out in the Memphis community, or things that you've been doing recently out in Memphis, Tennessee?
Yeah. We do all kind of stuff, man. Like beginning of the year, we was going out to schools, playing with the little kids, then we'll go and talk to them about the test that they had coming up, the big test. So we're going to talk to them, encourage them, just showing our face in the community because, a lot of them support us. So we just want to give back to the community. And we also go talk to like the juvenile detention center, talk to the kids, just try to keep them in a straight mind, keep them on a straight and narrow, like keep them steady, stay out of trouble, and stuff like that. Like yesterday we did like we went to the food bank drive and just packed bags so they can help send out boxes and stuff to, people that's in need. So, we're just doing our best to help the community because, like I said, they come out and support us every home game and we just want to give back.
Yeah, new home team as well. And love to see what you guys are doing. Like I said, I love those posts online that the social team for, your team in particular, for the Showboats or for the Memphis Hub put out between you guys and the Gamblers. Because it's great to see a league giving back to folks in its own community like that. And it's glad to see yourself out there too, helping things out. I will mention I've had Juwan Washington on this show. That was most recent video. That dude is a goofball, and
Exactly.
I love it, man. I was so glad to see him back when he came back. He is
exactly. He was all smiles when we walked in the door. We all saw him, like he was just all smiles, like a little kid in a candy shop.
I just got reminded of that because, like I said, you guys are packing up. And this is from a social post I'm referencing from earlier while we're talking today. And like I said, he's just, like I said, all smiles, all his goofy self.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Because he was part of my group, and he just had us dying laughing the whole time.
That's good. I'm glad you guys seem to be also having more fun as of late. One instance, I'm only going to ask this because I think a lot of people were curious about it. Bear with me while I ask this question. Why is it after you guys beat New Orleans, I'm seeing Todd Haley, quote unquote, throwing it back in the locker room? How does
I have no explanation.
Wait a minute.
I do not know. I guess he just he got caught in the heat of the moment, and that just was what happened. I really do not have an explanation for that because we ask him every day at practice, like, man, that's all the dance moves you have. Like you couldn't think of anything else. Yeah, we always mess with him about that.
Oh God. Forgive me. I had to know.
Oh yeah, it's no problem, man. No problem. Everybody actually asks us that question.
Anyway, so back to the season here, and we'll kind of wrap some things up going into this week. Again, I hinted at this. We were going to talk about this. You're 3-3. You guys are 3-3 now. Defense has been ferocious to say the least in this win streak. Things have really been turning around. Offense is getting into a rhythm, finding some groove for your guys, and you're gonna be taking on the Gamblers here. Rematch of what I would consider a season classic, or at least classic of the return of the league since its first 2 years have come back. And really, what was excellent game itself. Ryan McDaniels catching that juggling pass, have to go right back down the field. Unfortunately, you guys get a crushing loss at home. What are some keys? What are some keys to the game you see in this one that you think will be coming into play? Because we're talking a possible playoff deciding game right here for you guys. And I imagine Coach Haley's emphasizing this too in practices as well. But it's you guys get to have another chance and at home once more against arguably the best team in the league at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we just not doing anything too special, man. We just, like we said, we just taking a game at a time, and it's just another team on the list that we have to beat. So, like I said, we just have to attention to the details. Everybody doing what they have to do, and everything else will play out. So that's the only thing we're really focusing on right now.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, you'll be in for a fight itself. I'm looking forward to seeing you. Hope we score a touchdown once more. It's funny. Not only do you hold now the kick return record, or longest touchdown record in the league itself, but funny little fact you get is you score the first touchdown of the Showboats return. We're talking plus years in the making return. You get to have that as For the rest of your season. I asked this for players as well. I mean, what are some things you're looking to do that maybe you're not say individually where you're trying to be individualistic of your team, but stuff that you'd love to accomplish if you say had items you wanted to accomplish and move into for the end of this year?
Oh yeah, I just only individual goal for me. I really didn't set any, I just besides just winning and making the playoffs, but I would definitely like to be like one of the top receivers in the league, and also a returner. That's my main two, goals for the rest of the season, and just try to make it the playoffs and make it to the championship and win. That's just the main goal, just winning it, and everything else is like a play out, just play out how it's supposed to.
I think you got a good shot if you get things done this coming weekend. One other thing you got coming your way, my final question to you, how much are you looking forward to that special teams player of the week bottle of Miller Lite coming your way?
Yeah, I can't wait. I was telling all the teams, get ready, because I'm going to spray everybody that's around.
They know what's coming. And that's the thing.
Yeah, they know
even if you aren't going to do it, you see it. Those social members, they're going to make you do it no matter what. So
yeah, exactly. I can't wait. I've been waiting on it.
Well, enjoy your 40 ounce. And also enjoy preparation for the rest of the week. Derrick, it's been a pleasure to talk with you. Congrats on your accomplishments, and best of luck, of course, this weekend against Houston. Should be arguably the game of the week in the league, and we can't wait to see it. Between you two and New Orleans and Birmingham, the South is going to have some fun games this week.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to be competitive this week.
Special thanks again to Derrick Dillon, receiver and kick returner for the Memphis Showboats, for joining me on the show. Again, I love to talk about, just kind of journeys. I love to talk specifically about just kind of reactions to this stuff I've been doing these last 2 weeks with guys kind of after the fact. It's a little change up to my usual interviews, because usually I talk about like, hey, what's your backstory? What's your college? What's that? But now I'm talking like, this is 2 weeks in a row. I've been like, hey, how's it been with the kick? How'd you know when the kick was broken? Like when you had it all the way? How's it been getting into, talking about working in the community, which is something that the Showboats and Gamblers have been really doing a lot of as of late. A lot of community engagement between those guys, the folks up in Canton, up in Detroit. Birmingham's been giving back. It's a nice part of the league, and he got to highlight that a little bit as well. And of course, one of my favorite parts of that interview, by the way, if you remember last year, Stefan, I did an interview with Juwan Washington when he was with Tampa Bay. Now that he's back, and you can see in some videos, and you can tell from Derrick, he is a goofball, as we remember from last time. And those two, I guess, they get to get in some good, funny hijinks once in a while. So, glad to have the conversation. Glad he's in the league again, and he's been a star for Memphis. He's been making a lot of good plays this year. That's just one of them. And Cole Kelly's going to be leaning on him for a potential playoff push.
Oh yeah. Man, I love these interviews. They're great. Can't wait to see many more. Well, we only got a couple weeks left at least.
We'll keep getting them out, though. I definitely have more plans. Obviously, I like doing these. As we said, I think in one of our shows before the season, we wanted to do more. We have been doing more than last year in season, so that's been good. And we'll keep on doing that because I have a lot of fun with them. So why not? Anyway, speaking of fun, speaking of going to games, yes, there are home games left, but the playoffs are around the corner. As much as Jim Moore might be yelling in your ear in a microphone saying we aren't talking about the playoffs, we are going to talk about this part of the playoffs. And I think something that people have been wondering about a little bit is, okay, where are the playoff games going to be hosted? We know Canton's got the championship. There are references to be determined on playoff listings during this week that came up on the website, which got people thinking, is there possibility that hubs are hosting if the scenarios work out? And sure enough, we finally got some clarity on that, thanks to some season ticket emails being sent out. So if you're a Birmingham Stallions fan, and Luke Miller from our own side share this, he is very much a Stallions season ticket holder. he shared this with us, and turns out they are planning that if a certain playoff situation pans out, that they will have the Stallions host a playoff game for one of the two, for their semifinal matchup. If the Stallions were to finish at the top of the standings, they would host a game at Protective. And Brett Zaleski, the head of ticketing and sales services, he actually posted about some of the perks about the other hubs and implied Memphis, Canton. We're also talking Detroit. If that all plays out,
It will.
which, I mean, yeah, sure. One of them could. I'll give you that. That we will see teams hosting a game in a stadium. So imagine if you're a Showboats fan and you rally the troops, Memphis could be hosting a game.
Sure.
Birmingham has a chance to host a game. Very much so right now. Detroit, you know what? Anything's possible. Could be there. Canton, hey, there's definitely possibility you can go play in Canton. But that's the deal. They're trying to do it where for host cities, you can go. And it kind of gets me giddy. And I'm not saying I'm rooting for certain matchups to happen, but I'd be kind of thrilled if you saw like the Showboats or the Stallions get to host a game in their hometown and advertise it as a playoff game locally.
Oh, yeah.
That would be pretty cool. And the kicker that I like, and of course I don't think this was going to be made without it. If you do deposit for these, say like season ticket holders that pay for the tickets, because it's not guaranteed right now, they will give you a refund if that doesn't happen.
For sure.
That is a big caveat. And all you can eat food if it does happen at any of the locations. They're apparently testing that for next year for season tickets.
Which
I guess Birmingham fans have been dying for all you can eat options.
I bet. I mean,
and they're trying it out this time.
Sign them up. Who wouldn't want a little buffet when you go to the game? I mean, I'll get down with that. But yeah, so you mentioned Stallions fans got this email. I know Panthers fans got this email. So if you're a USFL season ticket holder and you're looking to go to the playoffs or the championship, get down on that email. Go check your emails now. Go refresh, because you can go get those tickets as fast as you can. You get your spot ready. Go get your seat comfy. You might want that same spot that you normally sit in. Well, this is how you do it. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm not going to be out at the playoffs, but you and I will be out at that championship game. I cannot wait to get back to Tom Benson. It's a perfect size football stadium. I love that the USFL landed there. But if you're looking to go and you're looking to get your playoff spots, now is the time to execute. Get it down. Make it happen.
Right. You do have a good chance of at least having one of these land. I mean, out of it, think about it. Canton's a hub, but you have solid hub attendance for both those games, whether it is Generals or Maulers come out for those games. So I think you'll get a crowd that's reasonable for either one of those if they host. And then, again, you have Birmingham, Detroit, and Memphis that are the others. Right now, if I had a leader, Birmingham definitely feels like the leader in the South to get that game. Memphis does have a chance. It just comes down to, hey, can you keep rallying the troops, and you got to keep building up wins. Again, Michigan, you and I are split on it. I know you're doing your thing.
What thing?
Okay. Anyway, I am not as confident. I still would put in a ticket because at least it's guaranteed you get your money back either way. But if somehow, some way, Eric Marty and Mike Nolan find the secret sauce to fixing the crucial side of the ball that they have been screwing up on the most, the sky's the limit, because the North is still that wide open. So it is possible. It is very possible right now. The only thing you're taking a risk on is, well, I don't know the standings right now. Well, okay, whatever. But you get your money back, so screw it. Throw it if you want. You're a season ticket, or you get pre-access. Throw your hat in the ring if you got a chance. If I'm a Stallions fan, I'd be doing that right away, because my team's 4-2, and other teams are slipping up, or we get a second crack at it next time, as darn officials or not, whatever way you want to put it.
Yeah, they have as good of a shot to lose to the Gamblers in the playoffs as anybody else does in the South. All in, baby.
Hell, man, the Gamblers have their number in terms of home games for the Stallions. That's what's funny. That's what's the only thing I can give them credit is that, Birmingham, their only win against Houston so far since the return was in a technical away game. That's the thing. Houston's been undefeated as the visiting team. Season 1 visiting team, but what I'm saying. This year is the visiting team. Same deal. They are undefeated. Stallions have to go visit them in Memphis later this year.
I'm looking forward to that one too.
Rowdy.
All in, baby. All in.
But that was a nice little treat that got dropped by the ticketing department that is happening. So, it is showing. Again, we're talking progress. That's another progress piece, baby. We might be seeing a host team hosting legitimately. I would be thrilled. I would be thrilled as hell to see Birmingham host a game if it came to that.
Oh, yeah.
Or if New Orleans was to say they gave them the hosting dues, which actually that's the one thing that wasn't totally clarified. We'll have to wait.
Well, that's what I'm curious.
If you are a team that is being, accommodated, do you still get that game? So if you're Houston,
you know what?
Do you get that game in Memphis?
I think that's a perfect question for the speculation zone next week. Let's mark that one for the because I got,
there's probably some more clarity.
Oh yeah,
coming.
yeah. I mean, let's speculate on that one though next week because we still have some stuff to talk about. But I think, we've been talking about maybe doing a speculation zone on the playoff locations, and then this came out, which kind of leads us down another speculation zone. So I think maybe we park it. Let's see what happens in the week, and maybe pick it up next week. We'll see. We'll see where we're at.
I'm up for next week.
Oh yeah,
we'll find out. That's all it is. All right, folks. It's the thing that keeps on going week in and week out. Our latest new segment to the show that we added this year that has been a great responses. We're glad because we've been looking for ways to get feedback from you guys and kind of get you as part of the show. And this is one of the best ways we've done it so far. We are active on Twitter all the time. And if you do follow us on Twitter, you do get to be a part of the question of the week, which this week's question of the week, which by the way, follow us on Twitter. You just got to watch out for it post week's game. So after Sunday, you just got to watch our feed, wait for it to come up, and then you just reply with whatever your answer is to our question of the week. This week's question of the week was as follows: which USFL player doesn't get enough credit? And we did get a few responses all over the place. There was one name that kept showing up that is, at least for us two, I'll give you credit as a Panthers fan, for us two, Levante Taylor, who even himself has gone on social media and said, hey, stats might not show it, but I am the best corner in the league. People don't throw it my way. And fans, I think, are starting to notice that too. We got two responses that had Taylor's name in it. One in all caps from a man by the name of Trey with a much longer username that I am going to not pronounce. But he made darn sure that he told us Levante Taylor is the guy that's not getting enough street cred out here. 100%.
Yeah, and we also had Michigan Panthers dude who he brought up Levante Taylor. He also brought up Josh Butler. But
that's another one.
Yeah, I would also we can't leave our dude out. Ace from the USFL Network, Kalen Tolson, which I think is a solid name to throw in the mix there. This is why I love doing this, right? We always have our opinion, our thoughts on these things, but it's really nice to bring kind of the fans, the community members into the show as well, because at the end of the day, that's what we're here for. I want the engagement with the fans. This is why I love doing spring stock and summer stock. What other names stuck out to you here? I mean, real quick, actually, I know I asked you a question. I'm going to jump in here. Our friend Between the Goalposts, who he's in our Discord as well, which you got to be in the Discord. Click the link down below. His name kind of alludes to it. He's a big guy he's a big kicker guy, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. Alex Kessman. We talk a lot about Luis Aguilar just from his record-breaking performance. We've talked about Chris Blewett. We've talked about Cole Murphy. But I think he's got a good point here because, every time I see Alex Kessman out there, you know what he's doing? Adding 3 on the board, getting that extra point. He's solid for his team. He's making a name for himself. I think that's a solid pick. And I don't think kickers get enough love out there, always.
No, Kessman's been pretty good so far. If we're talking for field goal kickers in the league, he's one of the better ones out there. 10 to 12 this year so far. Been really on a roll as of late. Up there with the likes of like Brandon Aubrey, Matt Coughlin, and Luis Aguilar in terms of accuracy, along with Nick Skiba. By the way, Nick Skiba is the only kicker in the league now that has not missed a field goal attempt. And now, credit, he's only kicked 7. But he hasn't missed one all season. However, Kessman's right up there with the rest of them. So I think that's a great one for kickers, which really, what can you say? The kicking game in the league this year it's gone from I would think some average performances to begin the season to, of course, they fixed the chip issue. And now it's half the league has at least a kicker that you can sit there and go, I'm pretty darn sure he's going to hit this now.
Now,
you don't have to sit there and sweat it out as much.
I do want to say something real quick before we get too far. So, Generals fan, all Generals fans, direct your angry messages to Zach now that he has jinxed Nick Skiba, because now that you did what every announcer, I scream at the TV in like perfect games in baseball, or this Nick, whoever, Janikowski hasn't missed a 50-yard field goal in 8 games. Oh my God, I've never seen a field goal so far left in my life. Blame Zach for when Nick Skiba.
Well, you know what?
But at the same time, Zach, you handed our Panthers a win. Thank you. Because you know who plays the Generals this week. Our Panthers. We got this in the bag. Thanks to you. And you know what? I like to see you putting in some work for our Panthers finally.
Oh, you're more than welcome. I have complete faith that even if the curse happens, that the Panthers will take advantage of it. Heaven forbid that I believe that that's going to happen. Anyway, whatever. If that curse happens this week, I'll gladly come on next week and go, sorry, Nick, I failed you as a commentator and stepped right into that landmine. Kessman, though, yes, absolutely is a great option. One that I want to highlight because K. King was asking this. He didn't really get a clarification. He says, number 77, O-lineman for the Breakers. I believe that his last name's Adams. It is Adams. It's Paul Adams he's referring to. So got to give love to the tackle there for the Breakers. Don't hear many O-linemen getting praise as often. So good to hear one of the big boys up front getting some praise. And I mean, all things considered, the Breakers have been giving MBT a lot of good time to throw and avoid pressure. So I think he definitely deserves some of that nod as well. DeAndre Overton, our good boy good guy Emery Lewis here, dropping that name, which we contributor very much so for the Stars. Don't hear about him as much as well. And then Ace bringing in Colin Tolson from the Gamblers, which I also can agree. I very much can agree so on that regard. Yeah, great responses this week. Absolutely. Keep on following us for that question. We'll give your answers out there and the best of the best, because I've been getting some good ones last few shows. And I think we found our stride with one of the best ways to get engagement for you folks out there to get some love through the community. So glad to see it. Again, watch for our question of the week after week 7. Should be out usually early week. Not going to give a specific day because, you never know. We just want you to be able to be sure you're following along.
Like I said,
that's all we're doing.
They need to be refreshing that page every 5 minutes until they see the question of the week. And then even then, you might as well keep refreshing, because what if we throw one at you and we change the question of the week? You never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Could delete
every
it,
5 minutes or you're not a good fan.
Oh. He means well.
No, I don't. I mean, yeah, I do. The Panthers got in the bag this week, which maybe we talk about week 7. Big week 7 coming up.
We will. Week 7 in the USFL. It's prediction time, baby. Let's knock this bad boy out this week, as we have done every week. 2 picks a piece. We split the games up the way I did it this week. So I gave the ref got the very challenging week 3 decision on having to pick between Birmingham and New Orleans the first time. So I made damn sure that it is on me to pick the rematch game coming up as the first matchup. And so we'll dive into that, and I'll break it down for how I'm looking at this right now. Birmingham comes into this one. I think Alex Magoo and company, at least they've been getting comfortable as to what they are. Alex is definitely the main man in this offense. They've been using a lot more RPO concepts. Remember that first run against Michigan was a 28-yarder off of the left side of the line. That was like great tone setter for them. And I think that you're going to see a lot more of that. CJ Marable, best game he's had all year, and that's something they've been struggling in. Last game against the Breakers, they had no run game to speak of. You'll want to see if they have a better run options this week against them. Now they've had a little more time to cook and kind of redevelop what their offense is without key guys like Bobby Holly or Bo Scarborough in the background to run the ball. Meanwhile, for the Breakers, simple thing is, hey, offense, you got to get off the mat. You got to find some consistency. And I will lay a little bit more pressure on McLeod Bethel-Thompson this week to deliver, because as much as I don't want to be that guy, and he's put pressure on himself, it is kind of ball is in his court. Defensively, they've been keeping their end of the bargain these past 2 weeks. These have been winnable games against the Showboats and against the Philadelphia Stars, because defense has been keeping them at bay. You got to produce, though. You have the weapons to do it. We know you got the weapons to do it in Sage Surratt, D. Anderson, Johnny Dixon, Jonathan Adams, Wes Hills. They're all there. You just got to get in a rhythm. That's the deal. And I think that this is a winnable game for New Orleans. Do I think that they pull it off? I'm not so sure. I actually am going to pick Birmingham here because I think that Skip Holtz will have learned some lessons from their last matchup. I do think that you'll see New Orleans play much better than the previous weeks because of the implications this contest has. This is basically for the top of the division right now, and it does put a bit of it puts whoever loses in a very precarious situation moving forward into week 8. I think I got Birmingham, though. I think that they have become a little battle-tested. One thing, they also brought in Brody Buck at linebacker, who that helped solidify things with Scooby Wright going out basically for the year at this point with a calf injury. But he's been a great solidifying piece. They seem to have found a little bit more rhythm all over the board last week and in the previous week following. I'm going Birmingham. But I wouldn't be surprised if you were a betting man and you wanted to say it was like a pick'em thing. Screw it. It's a pick'em for me, but I'm going to go with one of them. I'm taking Birmingham in a rematch.
Sure. I mean, it's going to be a tough game. I mean, it really is anybody's game. It depends on which Breakers team shows up, if you ask me. The Stallions seem to be in the upswing. They seem to have the momentum going their way. I mean, on the opposite side, the Breakers seem to have nothing going their way. Could this be the game that breaks the streak? 100%. Will this be the game that sets Stallions apart from the Breakers? 100% too. I mean, this game has all the ingredients to be maybe the game of the week if the Breakers can turn things around. If they can turn things around, man, we could have a firefight out there, a slobber knocker, just an offensive mauling, if you will.
Yeah, something I'm happy that we do this show during this time of the week is that the league has been dropping more game status reports as of late that are usually about the time we record. Something in Birmingham's favor, by the way, Jojo Tillery did return last week. Deion Kane is also back this week. Versatile weapon, of course, in kick returns and in the offensive scheme. Keep an eye on that. So another piece to the puzzle, if you will. But one of the 2 games I'm labeling game of the week that I think if you're tuning in for any of them, you really shouldn't touch that dial if you tune into either one of these. The second one will be the other one I'm reviewing, not to take away from any of the refs picks, but the South is a very fun division right now to watch, is what I'm putting it as.
So you got it all wrong.
Between the two.
You got it all wrong, Zach. My game of the week, this one coming up, Stars Maulers late game, 9 p.m. Eastern. I think it was the latest game of the season.
The Keystone Battle, as it was labeled last year.
Now, it's not really my game of the week, but it could be a fun game, an interesting game. 2 teams trying to find their identity kind of game. And when you have teams like that playing together, I mean, anything can happen. Just like we talked about in the first game, this one's a little bit differently, right? First time they met up, it was death by kicker. But you know what? Interestingly enough, it was the Maulers that came out on top. Since then, the Stars have kind of found Luis Aguilar has come out there and, I mean, beyond breaking records, continued his kicking into the next week. And I want to say led him to another win, but was definitely a crucial part of that. Now, coming into this game, boy, oh boy, I think whoever can score the first and maybe the only offensive touchdown in the game wins it. You know what? I'm going to say that. On paper, it feels like the Stars should be able to pull this one out. It feels like they should be able to win. It feels like they should be able to take out the Maulers, especially, I mean, you look, they're leading the division, maybe barely, maybe by the thinnest string possible. And then the Maulers coming in after getting shut out. It feels like the Stars should win it. Call me crazy, call me mad, call me a lunatic. I'm going with the Maulers. I think the Maulers are going to be pissed off after last week, truth be told. I think they're going to make those adjustments. I think we'll see Troy Williams in there at quarterback. And I don't know what it is. Maybe I just have less confidence in the Stars to pull out a back-to-back win than I do the Maulers to come out with the spite win. But I'm saying it. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know necessarily if it's going to be a pretty win. But I think the Maulers are going to keep things interesting in the North and knock down the Stars a peg. And boy, oh boy, because this would be the week you would look at it and say, well, okay, the Stars are leading the division. They should be able to win this game. Maybe this will be the padding that they need to squeak out in the playoffs. I think the opposite. I think the Maulers are going to bring them back down, get their win, and just keep things just as interesting in the North as they ever have been. I'm curious, Zach, agree, disagree, in the middle, where you got here?
I'm kind of in the middle because I think it really comes down to what Philadelphia learned from their first meeting against them, which, a lot of it came down to some of the earlier inefficiencies that I think Philadelphia is getting away from. Again, they've been doing a lot more run designs that have been kind of opening up space to kind of keep defenses at bay from going after Case Cookus. They've been getting better opportunities in the passing game in recent weeks, so that's also been nice. They just have to finish drives. I think that's going to be the thing is, what Maulers' offense shows up to work on Saturday. And I'm not 100% sure. I do think you see Troy Williams start. I don't see a reason at all you go to James Morgan again because they saw that experiment second half of last week. Didn't pan out. Troy is your guy. That is your best option no matter what to get this offense moving in the right direction. You stick with Troy. I don't know if they pull it out though. I actually do have a little faith that Philadelphia learned from their mistakes and they're riding a 2-game win streak at the right time. So I'm going to cautiously pick Philadelphia, but that doesn't mean I have tons of confidence in that pick because I do know if the Pittsburgh Maulers are firing on all cylinders, and I saw what we saw against Michigan 2 weeks prior, this should be a Maulers win.
Right.
But that's not guaranteed. The North has just been very lackluster on and off with production. So it comes down to Troy Williams and what version of Williams we see over the past 2 weeks. Because I don't see how Morgan starts. Simple as that. And it's not like we don't have depth charts. Right? That's one thing that hasn't come out. And I don't think it will by the time we're done. But I don't see in a world how Williams doesn't go back to being the starter this week, given what they saw last week over in Memphis, Tennessee.
Right on. Well, it'll be a fun game to watch either way. I'll pass it over to you the game I got my eyes tuned on this week. But before I get into this one and tell you who's going to win, I'm curious if you agree or not. Who you have? What are your thoughts on this Gamblers Showboats game we got coming up?
Yes, that's the second one. So if you caught on, I definitely had Gamblers Memphis as my other game of the week. I think the crowd's looking to be pretty rowdy. As me, I'm a Ticketmaster junkie for following sales. Looks like should be one of the largest crowds of the season in terms of all the home games. And it really should. I mean, the implications of this one are huge. Mm-hmm. If you're Memphis, Todd Haley knows it. They're 3-3. They're glad that they're at this spot right now. And last time they played Memphis or Houston, they were within one good defensive possession of walking away with a win. And then they could have been the guys at the top. So they know what's all on the line. Memphis, I think, knows that they have a lot to fight for and that they're ready to do that. Houston, I think, is just a well-coached team, period, right now. And again, that's been incredible given the short time frame Curtis Johnston had to come in, get things ready to go, and has led the way. Kenji Bahar has a second week under his belt where he's a little healthier. He's not as rusty off of a week's rest. You still have Mark Thompson, who, as we remember in the last game against Memphis, he had his way with the Showboats. I do believe this will be a higher scoring affair than at least close to what we saw last time between these two. I do say, though, it's hard for me not to pick Houston to go for the sweep. And it's just because as much as I love what Cole Kelly's been producing into, as much as I love how the progress on both sides of the ball has been for the Showboats, Houston, overall, it's a better unit. I have to go with the better coached, at least overall team in this pick. And Memphis can prove me wrong. Again, every week they have been because I've been not picking them. But I don't see this one as an overcome. I can pass what happened with New Orleans. I can pass what happened against Pittsburgh for the North's deficiencies with whatnot. I just don't see it here. This is the best team in the league. It'll be a fun game, but it's not going to be a Memphis win. That's what'll be sad for fans there. Give me Houston.
Yeah. See, Zach, you're coming along well, and you're starting to pick things up
just
here.
Just because I picked the Gamblers doesn't mean I'm a fan. I ain't like you with that jersey you're wearing.
Well, I don't need you to be a fan. I just need you to know what's right because the Gamblers are going all in on the South. I mean, if you want an easy bet, for legal purposes, this is not financial advice. But if you want an easy bet, go put your money on the Gamblers every week because, boy, oh boy, does it seem like we got some Gamblers luck down in Houston. Every week it seems like there's some new amazing play that makes me glad to be a Gamblers fan.
This year you're hitting the hot hand is what it is.
It's good, and I'm looking forward to this one. Like you said, definitely one of the games of the week, if not the game of the week this week. Now, last game of the week here, Zach, I'm going to tell you, we got the Panthers on one side, we got the Generals on the other, but here is the star of the game. The bus or the airplane that the Panthers are traveling on, because finally they will be exiting Ford Field, which means finally they have a shot to get back on the winning side of the aisle. And if there's any team to do it against, I think it's the Generals, right? We talked about it earlier. They have a little bit of an identity crisis. In your opinion, I don't know if I'd go that far, but it seems like they might be treating it more of a developmental rather than a professional team. And boy, it's not really working the way it did in season 1. I think this is the week the Panthers get back on the winning side of things. Is it Ford Field? Is it not Ford Field? I don't know. But I did grow up in Detroit, and I know things just generally don't seem to work out well for those teams in Detroit playing at home. Generals, they got a couple things that they need to figure out. I do think that we will see DeAndre Johnson getting the start here. Will it be enough for the Panthers being outside of Ford Field? I don't know. But another thing that could be interesting to see in this game, and I want your, Zach is maybe the number 2 Panthers fan behind myself, the number 1 Panthers fan. Do you think this is finally the week that we get to see the man Eric Berrier hit the field?
I want to say that he does, but that only comes if things melt down entirely first half, because I don't think they will do it. I think that this staff likes Josh Love too much. I think that they are going to work it out, but I'm not putting it fully saying that Josh Love finishes this game, because again, if it's a full meltdown, if you're down 2 scores, again, I think everything should be on the table with just how the season is going for you. And I don't mind if you put Berrier in. Again, we saw some potential he had last year in a game against New Jersey, mind you, where they came up just short. One good defensive stop away from coming away with a win, by the way. And I think that should be on the table. Defensively, it's a good matchup between these two. It's going to be, the key is just going to be which one gets out of their own way on offense.
Sure.
Do the Panthers come out and say, all right, let's see if we can try and run a competent offense and just avoid mistakes, do and execute properly on pass catches, execute properly on creating lanes for runners, hold on to the football, simple stuff like that. Get rid of the football if you are running out of time in the pocket. If that clock is running too long, Josh, you need to throw it you need to throw it the hell away and get it to the sideline. Don't take a sack. Simple as that. For New Jersey, it's like you talked about with the starter. Hey, Mike, who's starting a QB? Because if it's Kyle Lauletta, then I don't know who's winning this game, to be honest with you, because I don't have as much faith in Kyle Lauletta. If you put in DeAndre Johnson, I'm leaning New Jersey, because again, I saw what he did to Michigan last time because I was at that game. I know what DeAndre can do. Leave him in as the starter if he is healthy. I'm hoping that that's the case for them. At least if I am talking as an individual that is analyzing the game. I want the Panthers to win. Do I feel confident? Depends who's starting. That's it. Really, when that depth chart drops, I'll know how I'm going to feel about this game when it drops. Most likely, I think it's Saturday. They usually drop them like a day before.
Sure.
So we'll know. If it says Lauletta's starting, I'm going to be going, okay, now we might be in this one a little bit more.
Well, I got some good news for you, Zach, because I am the Panther. I'm the number 1 Panthers fan. I got a sense for these things. This is our week, buddy boy. This is our week that we hit the rebound. This is our week that we put Ford Field in the rear view mirror, get some wins under our belt so we can come back to Ford Field and show whose boss is who. Because the Panthers, just like the Stallions, my friend, sweeping the rest of the season, and it starts here against the Generals. Bold prediction, I think Josh Love is going to have a game like week 1. I think he's going to come in here, show why he belongs, and maybe it is Ford Field. So I'll have to be there week 10 to build the morale for the Panthers, because I am the number 1 Panthers fan.
I am going to, if they win, actively ask, what is the problem with Ford Field? And you're the convenient answer is, well, it's where the Lions play. It's a house of horrors and all that. But it's like, no. You have a easily 12,000 crowd plus more. I think more than that, by the way, that comes to every game. What in the hell is the problem there? If they win in Canton, I'm going to be like, guys, come on. Come on, man. You did this for 4 weeks. And you decided, let's go on the road.
Yeah,
and have the TV ratings spike for that.
That's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. I was born into it, Zach. The pain is deep inside these bones. I've lived through it. And it's not even Ford Field's fault because the Silverdome existed before that, and the luck was much the same. It's just Detroit.
Well, now, wait a minute now. The Panthers' luck wasn't the same in that building.
Well, sure.
They won a lot of games in that building.
Well, because here's the thing. Well, I could go into it, Zach. This is, you know what? Maybe this is a conversation for the championship because I have a theory on that. I have a theory that it's not fully baked yet. So I need at minimum another week to come out with my theory on why the Panthers were able to execute and not the Lions. Because I do have a theory. I just need to get it across the finish line before I unveil it to all our wonderful fans out there. But you guys are the best. But you should be in the Discord. Link down below. Get signed up. Or come to Summerstock. Yeah. Get signed up. Meet us in person. We'll have trading cards. Who doesn't love trading cards?
I think everyone would love those trading cards. I totally won't forget the box of trading cards.
This is what, I meant to text you the other day, Zach. No curtains, right? I was going to text you the other day and just say, Zach, do me a favor. Take your cards and put them in your bag now. Just do whatever you're doing. Just stop. And put them in your bag now. I don't care if we're 5, 6, 7 weeks away. Just put them in there now, and they'll be there.
I think you're onto something. I probably will be doing that after the show. One thing that that someone will be happy about is I did send some cards to one of our good friends on Discord, Rob Hammy, who has done a lot of suggestions for us. Full curtains and all that. One thing I had promised him. He gave us these wonderful plush pillows that were USFL ones. I got Panthers one. He got Gamblers one. And in return, he wanted us to pick up stuff from the hubs. We went to the 3 main ones. We're going to Canton as the 4th one to make the quadfecta, if you will, later this year. But I basically sent him a gift package. He might be listening right now, and it's arriving as we're talking. But Rob, you'll be happy. It's got the cards at least. It's the only thing I'll spoil. Otherwise, it's got goodies from basically all 3 hubs. So one thing at the very least from each hub, and he'll enjoy it. It's definitely a good little return back for a favor. But something I was very glad to do this week to go to the mail and send that on its way out from Arizona.
I need to display my pillow. I have it hidden off in the corner over here. I don't know why it's not in the back. Too. I got the Showboats. It's not a banner, whatever they call those silly things, but I got that sitting in the back.
Oh, you got the pennant.
Thank you. I don't know why my brain's not working right now.
I have my pennant as well, by the way. That was from one of our buddies of the show. Also, we met in Memphis. But yeah, I got to display mine as well. As I've told you, my office is still kind of a mess, but eventually we'll get something set
This is the way I look at it, Zach. We were talking about this before the show. Again, no curtains. I don't like to change things mid-season too much. I almost didn't allow you to move because it was you're lucky it started before the season. It was just our season. So you got lucky.
You just heard me talk about a job opportunity. Like, you sure you want to do that?
No, Zach, you don't want to move.
The show. It's not the continuity is going to get all screwed up.
People are going to be confused. Say, what is that background? Zach doesn't have a curtain behind him anymore? What the hell?
This isn't season 3, Zach. Yeah. This is still season 2.
But season 3, I'm telling you, I'm already plotting because I got plenty of room in this office. I got this other desk over here that I really don't need, which would open up even more room. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I got these damn spring and summer stock banners. I can figure something out.
Yeah, knowing you and I, we got a few things we're collaborating on anyway to help adjust the show even further every year.
I mean, we'll get there. Season 3. So yeah, if you're looking for adjustments mid-season, ain't happening, guys.
Which, by the way, we always listen to comments if you want us to look into things that we can adjust. The question of the week, by the way, is definitely one that's come from you guys asking, how can we get you guys engaged? So we do take things into account. We improve shows year by year. That's how we want to do it.
Yep. We'll get there.
You guys help with that process.
We'll get there. So. I'm looking for some off-season, off-topic. Actually, this over here. So we're not in the off season yet, but I am going to be talking about this in our off season, off topic.
Oh, you've kind of mentioned this on the Discord
this book,
recently.
I don't know if you've ever heard of ergodic literature, but it's not like a choose your own adventure, because that's what it's going to sound like when I talk about this, but it's not necessarily written in a linear fashion. And so you'll also have pages with interesting layouts, like, so it'll be sideways, or it'll be like shaped like a house or something. Let me see if I can find, it's all over the place. And so you kind of have to read, and then there's little call outs that you have to go to the appendices and kind of read through letters. It'll take you through insanity. I don't want to spoil much other than that, but I'm excited to talk about this in off-season, off-topic, because I've realized that I've got this book, but there's no way in hell I can read this during the season, because since you are all over the place, you really need to like be focused and pay attention. So my bookmark is right there at the beginning of the book. I'm looking forward to getting through this after the season and then talking about it on the show. This will be my Cyberpunk Edge Runners for season 2.
Send me a link after the recording so we can be on the same page. I definitely, I at least am curious, but it was nice to talk about Edge Runners
100%.
Same vein last year. So might as well add something onto that plate.
We'll do like Oprah's favorite things, or the Oprah's book club. That's right. I stole Oprah's favorite things earlier in the season to talk about my Detroit food. I don't know. You probably couldn't audiobook something like this, I bet. I don't know.
That doesn't sound like an audiobook enjoyment whatsoever.
Yeah, but
that sounds like horrible to listen to.
I can't wait. I'm already crazy as it is, so I'm excited to become crazy with the book. Like, again, look at this page. It's just got like text in the corner. Sign me up.
Yeah.
I'm a lunatic, Zach. I do dumb things. And this book looks fun, though. It's been a while since I read a good book. I'm
glad you're going to enjoy it. You send the link my way. I might throw one and try and keep up with you. I don't know.
It's only $17, $17, make you holler. If you have a Kindle, I think you could probably get it for like a couple bucks. I don't know if you have a Kindle.
Oh, that's not bad. I'll just download the app and flip it on my phone or something like that.
Yeah, which will probably be easier because you could just click. I bet you the call outs are like links in an ebook.
Ooh,
I should probably buy this on my Kindle. Why did I buy a real book?
I'll let you know what it looks like on Kindle after the fact.
Let me know.
I think that's about good for this show.
I think so.
Again, off season, off topic. We gotta wait. It's not off season. It's not even the playoffs. Again, I hear Jim Moore already screaming from behind this door about what do you mean playoff season already?
We'll get there. So I'm excited though.
We'll get soon enough. Summer stock on the way, June 30th, July 1st. Stay tuned for details. Follow us at USFL Podcast for those details on your favorite social media platform. Subscribe to the show. Check out the t-shirt link. Check out the Discord link in the description below. Check us out online on our own profiles on Twitter too, because we got our own stuff. Although I've more been just a retweet machine lately, but whatever is all I can give you. Until next time, when the quote unquote #1 Panthers fan hosts the show, I'm Zach Kyleman saying so long from this episode on episode 58. Enjoy week 7. Should be a fun one. We're gonna have plenty of other stuff to talk about, and I can't wait to break it all down. See you on the other side, everybody.